A massive thank you to Alessandro, Ernst, Mert, F14 and John for subscribing to the channel. If you're not already featured in these clips, make sure you subscribe down below. Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 6 of our F1 22 My Team Career Mode. Yes, of course, if you missed out on the last video that went live from the Imola weekend, of course, the end of last week, we jumped in, we did the sprint race, we did the main event. It was quite a crazy weekend, actually, from Imola. I would highly recommend going back and checking out. But today, though, we head over across the pond. It's time for the Miami Grand Prix, of course. Start the season, 5 races in. All of them have kind of been very, very different, very, very interesting in their own ways. And, of course, yeah, I'll give you spoilers in just a second, so this is your warning. If you missed out last race, go back, check it out. Imola, absolute banger of a video, if I do say so myself. But yeah, you can see currently as well, we've got a lot of facility upgrades currently in the works. I thought we had about 100 million odd, so I was like, we may as well just spend a load of it. You can see on our finances, if I go finance history quickly, yeah, we spent about $120 million in one go, which was quite fun to do, I can't lie. But yeah, of course, as well, quickly before we jump into this, I want to say a massive thank you to all of you for the continued support on the channel. At the time of recording, we're getting very, very close to 94,000 subscribers. 6k away from 100k by the end of the year. It's going to be quite close at the moment, unless we get a bit of a miracle. It's looking optimistic, I think is the way we're going to describe it. But if you're watching this and you haven't clicked that big red button, it would be greatly appreciated if you would do so down below as well. Championship-wise, we lead the way 10 points clear of our teammate George Russell as we head into this weekend. They're 2-2 Motorsport with an 87-point lead over Alpine in the Constructors' Championship as well. Alpine, Charles Leclerc, Ferrari, Red Bull, they all seem to have weekends where they're right on the money. Lando Norris last weekend was absolutely on fire, but it's whether they can try and do it more consistently. We're waiting to see if other teams bring some more upgrades. But yeah, let's get into it though. Miami Grand Prix weekend, fingers crossed we can get another good result. Well, happy memories then from the Miami Street Circuit, of course, from last season where we had that fantastic battle with Max Verstappen right into towards the dying stages of the Grand Prix, and then it was that hairpin there on the final lap where we made the move for the victory there. One of my favourite races, I think, of F1 22 so far, and fingers crossed this weekend we can bring more happy memories back to the team. And already the happiness starts in free practice. We don't have a qualifying simulation run. We got track acclimatization and we got fuel this time round, so we might actually be able to get 2 purple scores. As long as I actually nailed my run through these S's, of course. Gotta hand it to him as well. Miami is certainly a track that's grown on me the more we've driven it on F1 22. I was not convinced of this circuit, obviously from the real-life Grand Prix. It delivered a couple of interesting moments, but the Grand Prix itself was pretty dull. However, yeah, very, very good fun to race around on F1 22, as that is immediately going to be a purple score. I've also suddenly just thought we basically spent a Formula 1 budget cap on facility upgrades between race weekends, which is kind of crazy when I sort of put it like that. That's now a Formula 1 team's yearly budget, and we basically just spent it on making sure we got a nice trophy room and things like that. Around in the final couple of corners, and it is only going to be the green score here on the fuel saving run, unless we can pull off a miracle out the final corner. In fact, it's barely going to be the green score as we head out the final turn, but we'll take it. Let's get into quali. But we're still yet to take a poll around the Miami circuit on F1 22. Maybe, just maybe, today we can try and change that. Sadly, gearbox wear is looking quite high on the car at the moment, but of course we'll get a free change next weekend before we head to Barcelona. So yeah, I don't really want to take a 5-place grid penalty here when it's only just crept over the 60%. But yeah, need some sweat mode though here in Q3. Fingers crossed, at the very least we can put this car on the front row of the grid, but I want to try and get pole number 2. Like a pretty good banker up to this point so far on my first run in Q3. We'll wait and see though as we get in towards the final couple of turns there. Top times are probably going to be mid to high 25s. George Russell has once again been fastest so far this weekend. Will we be able to match the times roughly set by our teammate? 25.8. That is immediately competitive, and George Russell is down in P5. We are in prime position after the first run. Right, here we go then. Third and final run here. I don't know, it's only my second run. Apparently I can't count to 3 anymore, but Final run here then in Q3. Charles Leclerc just 16 thousandths of a second away from me at the moment, but George Russell will also be fast. We need to absolutely try and nail this one. I reckon there's a couple more tenths on the table. To blip the throttle slightly through the final corner to make sure we didn't take too much curb, but we are going to improve. It's pole here at Miami. First pole position around this track. That felt good.
With qualifying finished, it's time to remind ourselves once again of our top three: Mr. Monaco, Leclerc and Esteban Ocon. Goodbye for now then, but really we're just getting started. Make sure to join us again for Lights Out tomorrow.
Well, there we go then. Pole position here for the Miami Grand Prix, and a big scary moment as we went through the section of circuit you can see on your screens there. You might see my reaction as we caught that slide, trying to put the power down out onto the back straight, but it was pole in Shanghai. It ended up being pole position ready for the main event in Imola last weekend. It's 3 pole positions in a row. Can we try and convert this one into a race victory today? Let's get into it.
We're here in the coastal shores of Florida for the Miami Grand Prix, which has become the 11th Formula One track held in the United States. The grandstands are packed for what we hope is going to be another fantastic race. A lap of the Miami Grand Prix features 3.36 miles of track around the Hard Rock Stadium, and 19 corners make up the Miami International Autodrome, which will challenge the drivers in a tight wheel-to-wheel race. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Mr. Monaco lines up on pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Ocon, Gasly, George Russell and Perez, Norris, Joe, Bottas and Théo Pourchaire, Ricciardo, Oscar Piastri, Nicholas Latifi and Tsunoda, Drugovich, Mick Schumacher, Robert Schwartzman and Alex Albon, Ticktum, Deruvala, Magnussen and Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race. And joining me for today's race once again is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about Mr. Monaco. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
They've been avoiding mistakes and have had solid pace, so it's been a good season so far, but whether they can keep that up long term remains to be seen.
After the points finished last race, let's aim to keep that momentum going.
Well, Anthony Davidson clearly not a believer in the 212 Motorsport philosophy, or at least my driving within 212 Motorsport. We almost won last year's title, mate. Come on, give us a little bit of credit where it's due. But, ooh, okay. Team reckons soft medium is doable this weekend. Now, if I'm going to do that, I'm going to want to do it the other way around. It just means later on, if the tyre on the mediums isn't as expected, it means we can switch over to hard tyres, towards the end of the Grand Prix. And it also just opens up a tiny bit more flexibility when it comes to safety cars as well. But we're going to need to try and get a good start around the Miami Grand Prix circuit here today. We've got Charles Leclerc alongside us. It looks like there is split... Oh, I've got the clutch glitch. Right, well, as I was trying to say, then looks like there is a lot of split strategies around the venue. Charles Leclerc and myself both on softs. Perez is on hards, so we have got inside the top 6, all 3 sets of tyres are in use at the start of the Miami Grand Prix. So this is certainly going to make things very, very spicy then. You know, we could see the likes of Ocon and Gasly, the 2 Frenchmen, trying to move past Leclerc and I early on in this GP. But I feel like we have got very, very strong pace. I'm actually very interested to see how George Russell is going to get on today. There is luckily, of course, we didn't slip to the rear of the field, so we can reclaim our position. Not how it works in F1 22 anyway, but the rule in real life remains. If you get the car rolling before the last car overtakes you, you can reclaim your place. Right, well, just going to try and give ourselves a bit of room to the cars behind there, but we may as well give the Miami fans something to scream about. Perhaps one of these will do them a bit of a favour. I've butchered it again, just like Imola. I need to get better at those, definitely, on F1 22, but let's try and make sure that we get the car slowed down nicely on its marks. There we go, purple score. And now we just got to try and cover Charles Leclerc off on the run down towards someone there. The 2 Frenchmen behind us, though, they're really going to be the ones to watch. But ready on the grid then for the 5 red lights here in Miami. Just waiting on those Aston Martins at the back of the grid. Kevin Magnussen, Lance Stroll. Aston Martin, once again, have really not kicked off in the way I'm sure they would have wanted, but come on, K-Mag, get on with it. Ready then, here for the Miami Grand Prix, 5 red lights. And it's lights out, and away we go. And oh, there, not too much wheel spin, but not really going anywhere either, as I said. We had to be careful. Whoa, big contact between our front 3 there, down at turn 1, so perhaps it was a good thing that I got out of that one, as George Russell tried to get past me as well there, but somehow Gasly, Ocon and Charles Leclerc all get away with that one at the start of the Grand Prix there. That was certainly very, very chaotic as we thread our way through this first sector there. But perhaps, yeah, my bad start actually saving me from some front wing damage early on in this Grand Prix. So we just got to try and make sure we stick with them early on in this GP. I have noticed, after looking at some of the qualifying data, we are definitely down once more on straight line speed. So we're going to have to be quite strategic today in where we go for our moves and how we do them. As you can see, George Russell just behind us, but yeah, of course, straight line speed has not been our strong point all year. Much focus on downforce on this car, which is how I can extract pace with these mega fast cars on F1 22. Of course, pretty much maxed out now, as we tried to get up and under here Gasly off the chicane, but not happening that time around there as we try and put the power down out onto the motorway towards the end of the lap. But Charles Leclerc then will take the lead at the start of the Miami Grand Prix. George Russell still in P5 there. Ocon up to 2nd. Gasly up into P3. Not the best start in the world for ourselves, but not the worst either, as we're still right there. We can see the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc, but any of these 3 would love to put an end to the 2-1-2 dominance that has kicked off this season. So already looks like Sergio Perez might be causing a bit of a train behind there. Those hard tyres were always going to be a bold strategy call to make at the start of this Grand Prix, but already 2 seconds behind George Russell in front of him. So, we try again just to wedge the car alongside Pierre Gasly, but the young Mercedes driver not having any of it at the moment. We have got to be careful of George Russell still behind us, as Lando Norris now up into P6. Oh, Gasly kicks at the back end as well through the first couple of turns, not being able to get close enough to him, but he is hanging on to the DRS of Ocon and Charles Leclerc at the road there, as you can just see how much more grip we've got through this end of the first sector. They're really just able to get the car position where I want it. And Gasly now might have dipped outside the DRS range. I think, no, he just hung on there behind Esteban Ocon, but we've still got quite a good run. Oh, no, he didn't. Pierre Gasly, the Frenchman, did not get the DRS then, so to the outside of the Mercedes, they're 2 silver cars side by side down the back straight. Can we outbrake him into the next corner? Deep on the brakes there, just to keep the car within the white lines, and we are back up into the podium places then, and maybe more strategically, we've put a car between ourselves and George Russell. Way! Big drift there, but we hang on to it. Next up, it's Esteban Ocon in his Alpine. And there we go, new fast lap as well, just to add to our well, hopefully add to our points tally by the end of this. Looks like we've now also shaken Gasly out of our DRS behind us though, so George Russell might be able to apply more pressure to the Merc. I mean, let's be fair, Mercedes still aren't quite there in terms of overall performance at this early stage of the season. They're going to need a lot more work from Gasly, and sadly, Nicholas Latifi is also who they're counting on still. For whatever reason, it's still Latifi. Oh, Ocon there again, just like Pierre Gasly a few laps ago, getting a big wobble at the first couple of corners. We definitely can't work away, around the Frenchman at the moment, unless Leclerc breaks out of DRS range, unless I can try and do this, sneak up the inside, down through the turn 7 complex. I want to say it might be turn 8. But we're now past the Frenchman, but sadly we've lost the DRS to Charles Leclerc at the road, so I think Ocon is just going to come straight back past me. Might, however, leave him vulnerable though. Now he won't have the DRS on Charles Leclerc, as again, just can't... Whoa! Ocon, almost giving us a freebie. We'll try and cut him off. Oh, a tiny bit of contact there. Neither of us willing to budge, we both get away with it. But now we are up into P2 then, of the Grand Prix there. I think just where Ocon locked up his fronts, couldn't quite get the front end rotated where he needed it to through the next corner. That, and I was giving him a fair squeeze, I feel, but now we've got to try and get back within range of Charles Leclerc, otherwise Ocon is again just going to fly back past me. Oh, George Russell making a move on Pierre Gasly further back. They're still side by side, I think, heading through the final couple of corners. No, looks like Pierre's hung on this time round, but we have now got back within range of Charles Leclerc. Esteban Ocon has fallen back, and nice to know I can get past the Frenchman. Shame our football team couldn't at the weekend. Whoa, Charles Leclerc there, big slide. Heading back through the first couple of turns once more. We've seen it from the AI a couple of times already. They just seem to clip that curbing on the inside there, and it really unsettles them about this next entire string of corners. Is Charles Leclerc now going to be vulnerable? Able to just position our car exactly where we need it. Can we try and get a good run out onto the back straight here? Lap 9 of 29. We're already at 1/3 distance in this Grand Prix, near enough, as we pull to the outside of Charles Leclerc. Whoa, big squeeze from the Ferrari, man. He wants to try and get a win this weekend. Can we try and work our way around him? Whoa, got a little bit sketchy there, but Charles Leclerc must have got a wobble on as well, trying to avoid me. So we both were desperate to avoid the contact, and I have made it through then into the lead of the Miami Grand Prix there for the first time since the grid. But are we now going to see Charles Leclerc come straight back past me as we head out onto the back straight there? Look at the torque of that Ferrari power unit, just pulls up alongside, and bye-bye Charles Leclerc. We'll try and make the move work again next time round. That Ferrari is an absolute missile. When we get a good run out of there, we certainly can get the run on Charles Leclerc, but it can just be quite difficult to do so, as this time round though we're a lot closer to the Ferrari car. Charles Leclerc will go to the inside, to the outside of our Monegasque rival. They're pretty even on the brakes. Oh, he just sits though on the apex. I was trying to get the old switcheroo on him, but not going to happen that time. And Charles Leclerc will hang on for now. Surely it's not going to be long before we see Ocon. There we go. Ocon has peeled into the pit lane. Pierre Gasly does the same. So those soft tyres able to do 10 laps. So we want to be taking these to around the end of lap 18, lap 19. Let's see if we can try that again though on Charles Leclerc. Might not have worked last time round, but not going to stop me going for it. Once more, we'll try and see if he'll hang a bit more towards the racing line, which he will. Then we'll pull out. Oh, Charles Leclerc, you can't try and come across me like that. Big late braking manoeuvre there. Try to be careful. Roll off the brake pedal. Whoa! Got to be so careful out of that final traction zone on this circuit, because there is no grip whatsoever there. And all this battling is doing is helping George Russell get closer to both myself and Charles Leclerc. Leclerc has certainly been a thorn in our side on more than one occasion this year. He certainly is a driver that can challenge us. Oh, Charles Leclerc there again, a little bit of a wobble out of the chicane, trying to put the power down. Now are we going to see the Ferrari car being a bit more vulnerable once again as we head out onto the back straight. Charles Leclerc already knows what's going on. He wouldn't even position the car back over on the right hand side there, right down to the left hand wall. Charles Leclerc goes. Are we going to be able to go later on the brakes than the Ferrari car? Again, we're going to get forced to the outside. Be super careful on the traction, but we swoop round him and into the lead of the Miami Grand Prix once again. It's been a fantastic little battle with Charles Leclerc over these last couple. Are we going to be able to break free though? Or if he hangs on in the DRS, are we going to see him once more just be able to re-jump us as George Russell... Wait, don't touch that curb. George Russell is just starting to take a bit of time out of the pair of us. There's all Charles Leclerc dropping back quite a lot, actually. If we nail these next couple of turns, we might be able to get him outside the DRS range. In a word, I haven't, though. You just try and head through, a tiny bit wide there as well. He's going to be right on the cusp with Charles. We'll use a bit of battery, and look at that, we have broken out of it. Charles Leclerc has definitely got some sort of problem at the moment, because he is dropping back rapidly. As we've just completed the move, there was no contact, he can't have picked up damage from it, surely. Must be some sort of technical gremlins for that Ferrari car to lose over a second in one sector, but George Russell now is breathing down his neck, and we've got to try and break free away from our teammate, because of course there's still pit stop strategy on the line. That's not going to do me any favours. Big crossover there for just a second. But Charles Leclerc, he's certainly got something wrong with that Ferrari car. Are we now going to see our teammate George Russell get past him as well? 6 tenths back. What on earth is going on with Charles Leclerc? Oh, and Charles Leclerc into the pit lane then. So he's going on to the hard tyres to see him through to the checkered flag. It's a brave call from Ferrari. Yeah, someone else I think has peeled into the pit lane as well. Lando Norris in. So Ferrari and Alpine not confident they can do medium softs. Is George Russell on the same strategy as us? Now I really don't know what's happening. Oh, there we go, George Russell into the pits as well. So no other real front runners then, believing that the medium soft is doable. Do they know something I don't at the moment? This is starting to worry me a little bit. Even, yeah, Sergio Perez is in. He's going to be going back over onto mediums. Surely this is possible. Oh, we've got yellow flags out. Looks like Lando Norris has had some sort of issue. What on earth has gone on for the Alpine driver then down at the hairpin? Has he looped it? There we go then, Lando Norris heading down into the hairpin. Yep, just way overzealous on the throttle. Nice little 270-degree spin, and then he's just going to dally around trying to work out how on earth, where's the circuit, what to do, and maybe just have a picnic. Why not, eh? I'm just trying to monitor the gaps then to George Russell and Charles Leclerc at the moment, of course, because we can see them on our minimap. Esteban Ocon is on those medium tyres, I'm guessing, to the end, so he might actually be the one that we're in a race with towards the checkered flag here. It's, yeah, very weird race, the way things have gone. And Sergio Perez there nicks away my fastest lap by 0.04 of a second. We can definitely take that back later on, but yeah, the gap we have got to start monitoring is, oh, we've got yellow flags out. Who's that going slowly? I think it might be Zhou Guanyu peeling off down at turn 1. Definitely one of the McLarens. Yep, Zhou Guanyu out of the Grand Prix, and McLaren's frustration this year just continues to dig deeper and deeper. When will our double reigning world champions get back to winning ways? Well, I'm intrigued to see where we're going to re-emerge then in this Grand Prix. It's going to be close to Russell and Charles Leclerc, but it's whether it's going to be ahead or behind them, as Esteban Ocon potentially just pulled out a blinder of a strategy this afternoon. We'll wait and see. Depends how quick these soft tyres are, I suppose, towards the end of the Grand Prix. We've got to remember, pit lane line is much earlier here than I think. I always think it's about here, but no, it is way back before that mini chicane there. And of course, we've got to get right down to the end of the pit lane before we've boxed to put on a fresh set of the soft compound tyres. They're purple on the turning in. Here comes Esteban Ocon out the final couple of turns. 2.4 seconds stop. Where are we going to be as we head back out onto the circuit? Nice and easy on pit exit. Always forget how tight that pit exit line is. And now we've got to try and get heat into the tyres as well there. We have come back out in P2 as Teo Porcher goes even faster in the second Red Bull car, as here comes George Russell, and cold rubber, we can't do anything about him. We've got to try to avoid him though through the next corner there. Not a fan of that from our teammate, but where's the temperature? Charles Leclerc now going up the inside as well. Careful of the wall on the exit, as now we've got to try and defend from Charles as we head down the back straight there. We should get some DRS though off our teammate George Russell, but yeah, cold rubber, I always forget just how bad it is on F122. Charles Leclerc can't do anything, and now we've got to try and put our best foot forward. Well, the top 4 currently in this Grand Prix are the top 4 in the championship, but only George Russell and Charles Leclerc are in the right order in terms of that championship relative to race position. Are we now going to be able to get a run on our teammate, who has, yes, certainly broken away from Charles Leclerc? Leclerc definitely has got an issue on that Ferrari car that we haven't been informed about. That Ferrari has certainly not got the pace it once had, as George Russell going to go defensive on me. We're just letting our two cars battle as all. George Russell tried to cover me off on the exit. We're going to be side by side into the snail section, but through there we will claim P2 once again in this Grand Prix. So much more grip on these fresh soft tyres, but now we've got to try and get closer to OCON. 8 more laps to go. Surely we can close up 2 seconds to the Frenchman. Surely. The answer to whether we can close up 2 seconds to Esteban Ocon is an absolute yes there. Only taking us 1 lap to close up pretty much, and we're now pushing him along through this middle sector there, out onto the motorway once again. Surely we're going to be able to get a run this time round on the Frenchman there. DRS now enabled as well. Those Alpines can still be pretty slippery down the straights, but to the outside of Esteban Ocon, fresher, softer tyres than the Alpine. As again, he's going to try and sit on the apex. Actually does a fantastic job of it at the final corner. Could not put the power down where I wanted to out of that final turn. Up with over the line though, that will be new fastest lap of the day. As Arby going to be able to make the move up in towards turn 1. It's a big send there, but we keep the car between the white lines. Got to be really, really careful over the curbing through the next couple of turns, but up into the lead of the Miami Grand Prix. But here comes Ocon though, round the outside. Where has he got that straight line speed from? Esteban Ocon there, clearly using a lot of battery to try and wiggle his way back round us as we head in. No! Ocon! Why? He's just come across me and damaged the front wing. No! Late on in the day, that might really compromise us. Late on here in Miami, we're now certainly going to have a bit of front wing damage to contend with. How much is that going to compromise us in these last 2 laps? We've still got fresher, softer tyres than these other cars, but the tyre wear is going to be even worse than it once was, as that is so frustrating there. Ocon felt like he came across me when we were on his outside. And the Frenchman will absolutely argue that it was his corner, his line, but I don't think it's costing us too much at the moment. But certainly our tyre wear by the end will not be fun, as you can see now all over the back of George Russell once more, who snuck into P2 in the process. It is only yellow, but it is quite dark yellow. So we try and head down the back straight once again though. We're surely going to be able to try and get a run on our teammate as we have a look to the outside. Oh, Ocon's locked up. Ocon's locked up. It's 3 wide off the corner, and we've got past George Russell. Can we get past Ocon again? Get wedged over the curb, and this time around we're not going to give him anywhere near as much respect as we did last time, and somehow in all of that we are back to the lead of the Miami Grand Prix. But surely this front wing damage, yeah, definitely is costing us a bit, but it is still drivable, as here comes Ocon again. This time around we're going to use a bit of battery to cover him off the corner. And no, you absolutely do not, my friend. Well, 3 laps to go then here from Miami, and at the moment we've just been able to inch away from Esteban Ocon again, but I am worried that these tyres are going to take a bit of a beating in these final few laps, especially with the lack of downforce on the front end. I'm just so happy, of course, we ran quite high downforce config once more, because had we not, we could have been in an even bigger world of hurt. But I said coming into this one, Alpine, Ferrari, Red Bull are the teams that seem to be able to challenge us, and at the moment, with 3 laps to go of the Miami Grand Prix, the top 5 cars consist of all 4 of those teams, and there's only 4 seconds covering us. It's a bit of a change from the Australian Grand Prix a few weeks ago, where we had a pit stop in hand. It certainly is not going to be plain sailing this season, or as plain sailing as I think we might have thought at the start. But yeah, 2 and a bit laps to go here from Miami. We've just got to try and monitor the gap to Ocon, and maybe just hope that Russell can sneak by him as well. We'll start in the final lap then of the Miami Grand Prix, and Esteban Ocon still floating about 1.6 seconds behind us. We might just have done enough here to try and get our 4th victory of the season. We really have had quite a strong run of form over the last few weekends, but we have to enjoy these days because you never know how long it will last. Alpine, again, in the last 2 weekends they've really been able to hound us, and once more George Russell is going to be locked into a battle with one of their cars on the final lap of the Grand Prix, and Ferrari and Red Bull are certainly not far away either when you consider Sergio Perez has been on quite a botched strategy today. Sergio was in fact, Sergio's closer to us now than he was on about lap 5 of the Grand Prix. It goes to show just how crazy the race has been here from Miami. But I mean, for us, we had that 1 bit of contact with Esteban quite late on into the afternoon. I did wonder for a second whether it could be the end of the 2-1-2 winning streak. 10 races it will extend to if you exclude sprints. Try saying that 10 times over. But through the final few corners then of the Miami Grand Prix, it looks like, yep, it is going to be win number 10 in a row for 2-1-2 Motorsport. We are going to further extend our lead at the top of the championship, and I don't think Russell is going to get past Esteban Ocon on this final lap, so the gap at the top is going to double up to 22 points here through the final couple of corners. It's been a hard-fought battle today, but we have come through once again and proven ourselves as a real championship threat.
Oh mate, great job! Great job! You've done everything we wanted today. That is brilliant.
They've done it then! A truly magnificent win here at the Miami International Autodrome. Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result, do you think?
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs, and that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy, and to stay out of trouble.
Well, I'm thoroughly exhausted after the excitement of that race, but I'm sure it's nothing compared to our drivers here. They've worked hard to make it up there, and it's great to see them make their way onto the podium now. So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. Mr. Monaco increases their championship lead. So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
Teo Pourchaire gets my vote today.
Let's move on to the Constructors. The current leaders continue to extend their lead at the top. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time out? Be sure to join us once again as we continue to bring you all the excitement of Formula One.
Well, there we are then, the end of the Miami Grand Prix, and we are going to make it win number 4 of the season there. George Russell might often have the better of us on a Saturday, but Sundays are certainly where we come out the gate swinging. And for a dominant car, the fact that still we've only had 1-1-2 this season is quite funny as well. There, Ocon P2 ahead of Russell, Charles Leclerc ahead of both Red Bulls there, Gasly, Bottas, Ricciardo, and Lando Norris, despite his spin, recovered. I'm stupid. I haven't done that on F1 22. Let's go back to the team and have a look at those championship order. Well, anyway, apologies for that one. Of course, at the top of the championship, then 127 points for ourselves there. 21 clear of George Russell, not 22. I apologise. Esteban Ocon still in P3, now 10 ahead of Charles Leclerc, as Perez 1 point clear of his teammate Teo Pourchaire there. Lovely to see Teo really giving it a good run down at Red Bull as well. Lando Norris, Ricciardo, Gasly and Bottas rounding out our top 10 overall. We've now got a 109 point lead over Alpine there, which means, yeah, Alpine and Ferrari combined would have as many points as ourselves. Red Bull now just 2 points behind Ferrari as well. There is Merckx still ahead of McLaren, AlphaTauri and Alfa Romeo, both with points on the board. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed as well, and we will be back next time out ready for the Spanish Grand Prix. You guys do not want to miss that. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members, so a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below, and yeah, thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.